We good? We live? Hey, I always ask. I never know. There's like a bit of a delay, so I always want to make sure I'm live before I start talking, so you guys don't miss anything, and before I forget what I said, because I will forget what I say. But hi, after all that, welcome back to the channel. This is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and yes, it looks like I'm smiling. I'm not. This is Photoshop. It's not real. Because why would we smile after a result like that, right? What is there to smile about? It was a shit show. It really was. There's nothing. There's no way else to put this. Obviously, I'm here today to give a match reaction on Manchester United losing at home 3-0 to Spurs. But more importantly, I want to know your thoughts on everything. Your thoughts on the performance. Your thought on the result. Your thoughts just on all of it. So as I'm speaking, as I'm going through everything, just get involved in the comments in the live chat. Let me know what you think. Good to see Usman here. Welcome back, buddy. Oh no, Usman says tenhag out already. I hate tenhag. That's a bit strong. Now remember, there's a rule on the channel. You can't just be tenhag out. You can't just cry about the problem. You have to have a solution, and you have to have a reason for the solution. So it's not just enough to say tenhag out. You have to give me an alternative, and you have to tell me why an alternative would be any different, because right now I'm having a hard time seeing how anything is different, and simply changing the manager isn't going to help, because we've seen that before. But we're going to get stuck in, because I want to get your thoughts, and I want to share mine as Manchester United commit Harry Carey and lose 3-0 to Spurs. You know what the best part about having a YouTube channel is, guys? It's getting to relive the results twice and relive these performances all over again. And I don't even get to go play FC25 and like play make-believe and live vicariously through manager career mode and pretend it's all okay, because that game is complete shit already. You guys ever see that Monty Python movie where the guy jumps out of the office window? Yeah, I wish I was that guy right now. I envy that guy. So let's kick things off with a look at how Manchester United lined up. I want to reflect on some of the key points throughout the match, and then I will share my big 3 takeaways as always. So get stuck in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's get going. First half. So let's look at that starting 11. So Bruno started. We'll talk a little bit about Bruno later on. Kobbie Mainoo Ugarte picked up the double pivot. It's the midfield that we wanted, the midfield that probably is the midfield for the future, right? But they're young. Both of them are relatively inexperienced in terms of just professional football is concerned. And that was kind of on show. They were kind of chasing shadows and running all over the place. Ugarte, I think, was lucky to stay on the pitch. In general, I think he does not look match fit. Remember, Ugarte didn't really have a preseason, and while he's played a little bit with us, he's still getting up to full fitness, and so it really did show today. And Mainoo has been rested a little bit more. Mainoo has started off the season looking a little rusty as well, a little tired, so it was clearly on show against an aggressive Spurs side. We knew they were going to be aggressive, though. Xerxes got the start, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Xerxes is starting to frustrate the hell out of me. 19 touches today, 1 touch in the box, only 8 out of 11 passes completed. This is like that's not good enough for me. And I know I've said many times, Xerxes is not going to be this tip of the spear striker who's going to get you 20, 25 goals. He isn't. But at the same time, you have to do better with what you have. You have to do better with getting yourself available for touches, for getting touches in the box, getting your shots away, getting those shots on target and not right at the keeper. Getting these passes completed, 8 out of 11, attempting 11 passes in the hole that's just not good enough. But so pretty much almost what I wanted in my preview to start, aside from Bruno and Xerxes. I wanted Mount and Højlund to get the start today, but it is what it is. Were you surprised at all by the starting 11? Let me know as I run through the match. What are you guys saying? Ten Hag has so much big losses against City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Bournemouth. Yeah, but he also has, one of his first games in charge was against Liverpool when he joined, and he beat them. So he does. It's not as if it's all doom and gloom. And I don't like to look at one-off results like that, because remember, Ten Hag did finish above Liverpool in his first season. He did win a trophy in his first season where Liverpool finished like 5th. So we can go on and on about 7-0 against Liverpool that season, but at the end of the season, we were better than them. And so it is what it is. But I hear you, Usman. I get it. It's frustrating. So going through the match, first half, we'll talk about the first half. It was way too easy again for Mickey van de Ven to get the ball all the way from his half, all the way to the byline, and play that square ball for Brennan Johnson for their opening goal. This is the second match in a row now where an opponent has been allowed to simply pick up the ball in their own half and carry it 40 yards the length of the pitch. And where was Dallo when Johnson just tapped that ball? And there was nobody watching the back post. Everybody was caught ball watching. Nobody's got back. Nobody really tried to make a challenge. It was just, even if you look at the replay close up, Vandeman just looks surprised. He's like, oh, you guys are just going to let me. All right, let's go. It was horrible. Nobody was making challenges. Nobody was moving their feet. We just looked slow. Like we have no idea what to do. Players are switched off. They played so many misplaced passes, so many heavy touches. Everyone's leaving their man. I freaking said in the preview that we were going to get pressed hard. We needed to move the ball quick, and we did the exact opposite. And it cost us. These players just, I live in America. I'm no way anywhere near a UEFA coaching license. I've never been a professional footballer. I'm never going to be a professional footballer. But I can sit here on YouTube with a ring light and a camera in front of me, do a match preview after a little bit of pre-match analysis, and see that we're going to get pressed. See that Spurs are the aggressive pressing team in the Premier League. Why can't professional footballers see it? Why can't Manchester United see it? Why can't Ten Hag see it? Why aren't we moving the ball quickly? Why are we dallying? Why are we misplacing passes? Why are we playing poor touches? Why do we think we're going to have time on the ball when we don't? Dallo did not have a good first half, needless to say. Nobody could keep possession. I thought Bruno was atrocious. He just not good for him. I thought Licha and De Ligt were getting a little too caught high up the pitch. They need to chill out, stop rush. There's no reason for them to make challenges by running all the way up to the halfway line and trying to win headers or cut out passes, because every time it happened, we're vulnerable. It's so weird to me that our only big chance, that our biggest chance of the match in that first half came when Udogie went off for a second and they were down to 10 men. It's like, that's what we need to get a chance against Spurs today, was letting them go down to 10 men for a second. It's just not good. Just a lot of blank stares, a lot of sloppy passes, a lot of poor touches, a lot of jogging around, which is a real problem, in my opinion. I thought that we were very, very poor when we did get some counterattacks, because our wingers just went full Anthony, and we'd get into advanced positions, we'd get to the edge of the box, and then they would stop. And then they would wait, because nobody has confidence to do anything. Way too many passes were too short, way too many players standing facing the ball, trying to get it to feet, when we needed to be putting that ball into space, in behind, and trying to get people running onto it. Because every time we played a ball and try to get someone into feet, Spurs would just intercept. They would push up, they would intercept, and then they would launch a counter. It just happened time and time again. 3 shots in the first half for United. Spurs had 12. We had 0 big chances in the first half. We made 11 fouls, completed less than 150 passes. We only had 77% pass completion in that first half. We completed 140 passes fewer than Spurs, and Spurs had 9 shots inside our own box in the first half alone. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Casemiro came on for Xerxes in the second half. Rashford got moved up top. And then 2 minutes in, again, another Spurs player carries the ball from their half to ours, and they get a second goal right off the bat. Does nobody at United do any sort of opposition analysis going into these matches? Where's the video footage? What are you guys studying when you're doing this training? Like, Johnson is fast. He's very fast. I said that Dallo would need to be alert, and Dallo just switched off. Dallo was probably our worst player aside from Bruno today. It didn't help that, yet again, Licha is way high up the pitch for that second goal, trying to make a challenge that he misses. And then he did it again later on and earned him a yellow. Licha has been so poor this season. I'm very frustrated. I thought we should have had a pen. I thought that Romero's handball should have been a pen to us, but we've seen those not given before. And by those, I don't mean just pens. I mean Romero handballs. We've seen Romero handballs not given before. I thought Casemiro had a decent showing when he came on. He was picking really good passes. He's getting involved high up the pitch. He was making some runs. I've said before, Casemiro's place is in the 6 anymore. Casemiro is going to be an 8, and he's going to be getting involved. Casemiro needs to stop. We need to not make Casemiro recovering and tackling and defending and just let him stay up the pitch. We need to let Ugarte come in and kind of do that dirty work for him. And I thought Casemiro was unlucky to miss that chance in the 69th minute. Because again, he looked dangerous once he came on. Danny, welcome back, bud. I know, gosh, it's going around, bud. Eriksson and Højlund came on 71st minute, replacing Ugarte and Rashford. Eriksson, he's looked good recently. I think this seems more like Ten Hag going down this McTominay route, where it's like, well, no one else is doing it. Eriksson's been doing it. I just have to throw Eriksson on, and hopefully he can do something, because that's what he's been doing. We saw that with McTominay last season. It didn't come on. Eriksson immediately takes the first corner, which is like his first effort, or his first touch of the game, really. It doesn't beat the first man. He then immediately takes a free kick a few seconds after that, which again fails to beat the first man. This is why it's hard for players like Eriksson, who are a little older, a little tired, to come on and have their first thing be a set piece. You're not dialed in yet. And I'd say that that's a general thing, but it's not always general, because Bergvall came on, an 18-year-old, late in the second half, and took a corner, and it was like perfect corner, and they scored. And Solanke grabs that goal. Like I said, that he probably would in the preview, because he loves a goal. Because no United player even tries to clear that corner when it comes into the box. Nobody's marking the back post either. Dallow's playing everybody on side when it gets a flick, and they grab a third, and Solanke's off running to the corner flag. It is what it is. So let me know what you guys are thinking so far. That was just kind of a quick little play-by-play. Let's talk into my 3 thoughts, but I want to know what you guys say. So don't forget to get your thoughts in as we go along, because I'm going to start with my first thought of the match. The players are a disgrace. I'm not going to turn this into an either-or oversimplification where it's either the players or it's the manager. Everybody was shit today. Everybody. The players, though, in particular today, were a little bit more shit, because they were an absolute disgrace to the badge, disgrace to this club, disgrace to their manager, disgrace to themselves. They were a disgrace. But first things first, we take nothing away from Spurs. They were excellent. They were 100 times better than us on the day. It is what it is. United were just shit. And we'll talk about Ten Hag in a little bit, but even though some of these players have been getting away with murder in performances like this for years, the majority of these players are Ten Hag's now. This is his squad now. Like I said before the season, when we did our prediction show, he's not going to have many excuses. And today, a lot of the players that were letting him down, that weren't doing it, were players that he chose. This is another match where the opponent was more energetic, more physical. They showed more fight, and they just wanted to more. And this is made even worse by the fact that after the 20 match midweek, Eriksson literally came out after the match and said FC20 wanted it more. And the same thing happened today. The players don't look like they've trained at all, which we know isn't true, because this is professional football. We train. We know they train, because we've seen the system in matches under Ten Hag. We've seen it happen, but it's just today it just looked like they couldn't be bothered, like they didn't care. Danny says disgusted. I don't have much to say, to be honest. Yeah, I'm saying it for us. It's all good. It's just, it is what it is. We got to do it, right? I don't want to, but we got it. I feel bad for Andre Onana today. The guy really didn't do anything wrong. I thought he was immense to stop some of these chances, like Werner's chance late on. He made 7 saves today, but his teammates really let him down, if I'm going to be honest, especially Diogo Dalot, who probably had arguably the worst performance of his United career today. He was sloppy, he was slow, he was switched off, 0 awareness for Solanke on that 3rd goal. Again, I thought Licha just repeatedly running 40 yards up to make challenges at the halfway line. That's just dumb. It's just shit defending. Trying time and time again, and they were just caught out, and we were exposed, because more often than not they would miss the challenge, the ball would get put around, and then we're just down a man defending against another counterattack. You just can't do that against fast players. You can't do that with this energetic pressing side. It just doesn't work, especially because of what you saw throughout the match already. Like, this isn't working. This is how they're playing. Why would we keep doing this? It doesn't make sense. Thank fuck Timo Werner was playing and not Son. Could you imagine what would have happened had Son been on the end of some of those chances? Had Son started on that left side? God. Jeez. We had a few chances through counterattacks, but more often than not, I thought Garnacho or Rashford got the ball, got into the final third, got to the edge of the box, and then they just stopped. The same way Anthony does, like I said earlier. Rashford had no shots. Xerxes had 1 shot. Bruno had no shots. Garnacho had 3 shots. You've got 4 combined shots from your 4 front attacking players. That's not going to do it. I don't care what league you're playing in or what. You can't have a combined 4 shots over 90 minutes from 4 of your attacking players. We had an XG of 0.97. Spurs had an XG of 4.67. It's just not good enough. There was zero urgency to get into the game. Is that a lack of confidence? Is it a system thing? Is it just a lack of quality from the players? You guys let me know what you think. Danny says 7-0 would have been if Son had started. If I doubt Ten Hag would have made it to halftime, to be honest. They would have just like told him, like, Eric, can we come here? Yeah, don't make a scene. We just walk through the dressing room, go right out the back. Just go right out nope, the car's waiting for you. Go right out the back door, Eric. It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead. Rude. Come on. Danny says, on the fence with Eric Ten Hag. I'm starting to turn, Sean. Oh, yeah, we're getting there. Don't worry. We're still on part 1 right now. Players are a disgrace. I have a question, though, and I was thinking about this before the match, and I was asking Dylan. Dylan will be back shortly, though. He and I are going to be doing another video in a couple weeks. We are going to be doing a all-time Manchester United starting 11, so be sure to come back for that. But I texted him and asked him if and maybe you guys can help me answer this, too. Do you think... So we got reports this week about Omar Murata making some comments to staff and players and whatnot that United are not going to be ready to challenge for a title till or start challenging for those kind of things for another few years, 2028 or so. Do you think that there's a chance that some of those comments had an impact on their mindset? Like they saw that and sort of just kind of used it as an excuse, or maybe gave up on the here and now, maybe just out of frustration, out of complacency, like feeling like the club is not really focused on them and what they're doing now, but are just kind of planning for a future without them. As a player in your late 20s, like your Rashfords, your Brunos and whatnot, do you want to hear your CEO say that you don't think you're going to challenge for the league until you're in your 30s? Would you feel like you're kind of wasting your time during like your peak years if that's what your CEO is coming out and saying? You guys let me know what you think about that, because either way, something is definitely off at this club right now, and I would kill to know what it is. But all that to say, the players have a lot to answer for. There's not one of them that earned a right to play for United today. Today, they need to take off that shirt and just look at it, set it on the bench in front of them in the dressing room, and just look at it and ask themselves, like, have I done enough? Because I'm going to tell you right now, they haven't. So let me know your thoughts. Number 2. We need to talk about the Bruno problem at this club right now. And we might do another video on that specifically later on. I don't know if it's really needed. I've already done one video and we've already talked about it a couple of times. The fact that we're talking about it again after another shit performance from him in a match is really starting to get on my nerves. You guys let me know. But I'd pay good money to know what has been going on in Bruno's head all season. He was sent off in the first half, obviously. Not that you noticed, though, just given how completely useless he was in the first half. He was so sloppy for that red card. He slipped. I get it. But it shouldn't have been a red. I get that. All right. He slips. He catches him with his ankle. It's not Stud's challenge. It is what it is. It looks worse in real time than it does when you look back at it. How it wasn't reviewed, I mean, who knows if it's going to be overturned, after the fact. I don't know. Tim Howard said the same thing during halftime. He said it's not a red. It is what it is. But honestly, the way he was playing, it probably helped us to go down to 10 men if it meant that he was sent off, because it was shit. His pass accuracy was in the 70s again, which it's been consistently this season. It's just not good. Steven says the problem is Eric Ten Hag doesn't consider the opponent when preparing for a game. It looks that way, but even like at League 2 level, you're going to do opposition analysis. You absolutely have to. Ten Hag was already talking about Spurs in the pre-match a couple of days ago. He said, this is the way they play. So we know that he does it. It's just like, it just doesn't translate. What he does in training, what he does in his prep, what he does in his team talks or opposition analysis, we know that all that happens, but for some reason, something is getting lost in translation. And I think it has more to do with player mentality than anything, but we're going to talk more about that. But Bruno was crap. He just ran around, no purpose, like a headless chicken. He looked lost most of the time, like he didn't know what he was supposed to be doing, whether to press, whether to pass, whether to mark this person, that person. He just does, like, and he's looked like that all season. He's starting to become the odd man out when on the pitch. Fair play to Bruno for coming out after the match, and he's like the interviewer said, Bruno wanted to come and talk to us after the game, and obviously apologized to his teammates and said, they had to work twice as hard because I wasn't on the pitch. There's a lot of space left. Fair play to him for coming out and do that. I just said the other day, like, has Bruno come out and done any interviews? Maybe Bruno watches the channel and he heard that and he was like, I got to go do an interview now. Sean's going to get on my ass. But I do call bullshit on his remark that United showed resilience. He said the teammates showed, they did not show resilience. We don't know what resilience is at this club. We don't do that at United. Again, I do agree with him that the red card was harsh because it wasn't a red card challenge. We'll see if the club tries to challenge that or not, but I doubt it. Honestly, we could do with a couple matches without Bruno, so it could be a blessing in disguise because he's been a serious problem for us this season. He's been so poor, so ineffective. He sticks out like a sore thumb under a tactical, patient, pragmatic system. And who's to say maybe the system just isn't as good for the league? I don't know. You guys can judge me on that. But we'll see if the suspension holds and he's gone for a couple matches. Is it going to be 3 games or 1? Is it always 3 for a straight red, or is it 3 for like a violent conduct thing? You guys let me know if you know for sure, because I don't know if it's 3 games or 1 for that. But if he's gone either way, we could get to see Xerxes and Højlund together. If I know Mount was subbed off after a head collision, so maybe Mount could be back and maybe we could play with Mount. But I wouldn't mind seeing Xerxes and Højlund. I know I've already criticized Xerxes for not doing enough, but I want to see how they get on together. I wanted that against. Steven says, against Spurs, we needed our defense to sit deep and hit them on the counter since they play a high line, but we kept our defense so high they always have to track back. Yeah, man, and I said that in the match preview the other day, and I feel like I've had to say it in a couple match previews because so many teams now play with that high line. Liverpool play that way. Spurs obviously play that way, and we have to learn to be patient. The problem is that what if tenhag doesn't typically play that way? And so if we have to play that way, if that's the way that our current squad is best suited for, if that's the way that some of these players can only play because they can't mentally handle technical football, why do we have tenhag then? That's my thing. Again, Ineos didn't appoint tenhag, Glazers did. So there's no loyalty there other than the fact that they extended his contract. They activated that 1-year extension. So it is a big question, one that maybe we don't even have to ask because it could be taken out of our hands. But on Bruno, there's simply no place in a Ten Hag system for a player like Bruno who plays the way he does, who's kind of erratic, kind of all over the place. Every pass is a Hollywood pass. Nothing's ever on the ground, it seems. It's just always one touch and then hoof it and then see what happens. And I'm not saying that he's necessarily bad, right? He's playing badly at the moment, all right? That is what it is. We'll call it like we see it there. But he just might not be a good fit. Just like I don't think Rashford necessarily is the best fit for a Ten Hag system. And I've said this many times before. I think Rashford and Bruno suit an Ollie system. They even probably suit a Jose Mourinho system, a very counterattacking system, but they don't suit this one. So the question is, who bends or breaks there, the coach or the player? Giving Bruno a new contract, though, is starting to raise questions as far as I'm concerned, and persisting with him through this rough patch when he really should be benched is starting to cost us points, in my opinion. He's just not doing enough to justify his spot in the starting 11. I'm not putting everything on Bruno because that wouldn't be fair, but I'm just saying that it's been a big contributing factor considering what we've seen from him in the past and what we've seen from him this season. It's a night and day difference. You don't just go from being literally the best chance creator in the league for several seasons to just what we're seeing now. Something's off. Is it new contractitis? Is it something happening behind the scenes? Does he need a rest? I don't know. He does play a lot of football. You guys let me know. But I do think it's something that Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, and all those guys are probably going to be looking at for over the next several months, especially because that contract is starting to look maybe a little premature. But you guys let me know what you guys think. And he says, hopefully it's 3. I don't know what that means. So moving on, Ten Hag's gone. I don't see how he survives this, even with results against Porto and Aston Villa, which we'll get to in a second here. I don't see how Ten Hag survives this. I just don't. And you guys are probably going to think it sounds harsh. You're probably going to think it sounds hypocritical because of the way I've defended Ten Hag and what I've been saying for years now is we support him, we back him, and things. But we've seen this movie before, right? Remember that Watford match under Ollie? Do you remember that one? It was the same listless, I wouldn't even say half-ass performance from the players. It's like a quarter-ass performance from the players. And it's the same today. And again, a lot of this isn't on Ten Hag today because the players just didn't show up. And this is also why I feel like if he is sacked, that a fair few of these players need to follow him right out the fucking door. But this is 2 league matches at home without scoring a single goal. And the last time that happened, Ollie got sacked. I don't see how Ten Hag survives the international break. To be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised to wake up to an announcement from the club tomorrow saying, like, we've agreed to part ways or been relieved of his duties. We wish Eric best of luck on his future endeavors. We know the song and dance, right? I put up a post on the channel earlier asking whether or not you guys thought he would make it through the international break. And someone commented that the players shouldn't get off scot-free. And I've been saying that for years as well. Me conceding, again, I want to say all this to say, putting into context. When I say number 3, Ten Hag's done, this isn't me saying I want him to be sacked. This isn't me saying like I'm turned the corner and like he needs. This is me simply saying that this is how things are in football. This is how things are at top clubs. This is how things are at Manchester United. The manager is going to bear the responsibility whether it's his fault or not. And this is just what happens in football. The players were shit, but it's the manager who faces the music. No matter what club you're at, you can't get rid of a squad of 27 players and keep a manager. That's just not financially going to happen. And so it is what it is. But it's also getting harder to defend Ten Hag when other managers in this league and throughout Europe are doing just fine and actually doing very, very well after just a few months in charge. Some of these managers have only been in the job for a few months and they're doing just fine. And I know there's a lot of context in that. We can go through the reasons for why Maresca's doing well or why Arne Slot's doing well. New manager bounce, Arne Slot inherited a good squad, all this other stuff, our financial issues, injuries, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, none of that's going to matter in terms of whether or not Ten Hag survives the season or the international break. Because the whys don't matter. The context doesn't matter nearly as much as the what. And the what is results and performances and points. And that is going to dwarf the why in the long term. There's been progress, yes, stats-wise, especially this season. Statistically, we are better in a lot of areas than we were the last season. Like the progress is there, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day unless you get the results. Steven says Bruno isn't the problem. Watch him in a Portugal team. Yeah, I think, and again, it's not. I don't like to look at international football as the metric. A lot of things are different. And again, I've said time and time again that the system and the manager matter more when it comes to a player fitting into the club than anything else, because Bruno in an Ollie system, just fine. Bruno in a Ten Hag system, struggling. Steven says, if Eric Ten Hag tells Bruno to keep the ball simple and stick to his position and stop running around, I don't think Bruno can do. I don't think Ten Hag's telling Bruno to run around. I think Ten Hag has a system. I just don't think Bruno can do it. It just is what it is, because we've seen time and time again, these players sometimes just don't do things very well. We saw it against Chelsea last season. We were trying to keep the ball on the ground, keep things going. But as soon as the ball in these tight triangles and in tight areas, as soon as that ball got to someone like Bruno or someone like Rashford, it all falls apart. We've seen that time and time again. Even Onana has struggled. We saw earlier in the season, there were opportunities for Onana to launch an attack very quickly, and Ten Hag's on the touchline yelling at him, like, launch the attack line. And Onana's just holding on to the ball. The players, it's mental. The players are freaking out. There's no resilience. They're shrinking within themselves. They're afraid to make mistakes. This is why we take 1,017 touches on the edge of the opposition box before someone finally gets a shot away, because nobody wants that responsibility, because nobody can handle the weight of it, whether it's the responsibility of the moment, the pressure of the season, the weight of the shirt, whatever you want to call it. Things not clicking up here. It has nothing to do with players are not bad players. It's all here. And it's frustrating as hell. Problem is, when it comes to Ten Hag, if we sack him and we start the cycle all over again with a new manager, it is this how is that any different than what we've been doing? If Ineos sacked Ten Hag, it also makes them look foolish because they already looked for alternatives in the summer. We know that this is what happened. They ended up sticking with Ten Hag. The story is they didn't, they thought he was better than the options, whatever. They activated the extension in his contract. So it does make them look a little foolish. There's nothing wrong with looking foolish, though. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you made a mistake. There's nothing wrong with admitting that it's just not working, even if it makes you look foolish in the short term. The wrong part is waiting too long to make the decision. There are still lots of points to play for in the league. We still have an honest-to-God solid chance in Europa League. We've only played one Europa League match, and it was a draw. If you make a change now, there's still a lot of opportunity. Again, I'm not saying sack him. I'm saying I don't see how he survives this. If he does go, I don't think he has control anymore. He just looks like things are just slipping through the fingers. The players just aren't playing anymore. And we saw this exact same thing under Ollie against Watford. If he does go, we really need to avoid the whole start fresh kind of a thing, because it's not starting. Rebuild, squad, culture, identity is not just about a manager. We have a new regime in now. We're planning for the future. We've heard it from them. They're looking at young players. What we need to do is avoid the mistakes of the past and just start from scratch every time we get someone in. And we need to find a manager who can not only do something with the players we have, but who we also think will be a good fit for the profile of players that we're looking at. Some of these young players, some of the future transfer options that we're already planning for. We need to find a manager that suits that system, someone who plays the way we want to play. Again, the players were shit, but they are Ten Hag's players. And if they can't play for him, the writing's pretty much on the wall at that point. The frustrating thing is, again, we've seen the system work. We've seen them get results. We were dominant against City in the FA Cup final. You can't deny that. We were very, very good against Liverpool in the FA Cup. We've had good moments under Ten Hag. The problem is just not happening consistently enough. We've seen him get something from the players, but it's just not happening consistently enough. He's done well to get to 3 finals and win 2 trophies in his first 2 seasons. No one's going to argue that he didn't accomplish something. Maybe he's just a cup manager. I don't know. But it's not a question of what he's done at United. The question now is, okay, is he the man who can get us to the next step? Is this a guy who can improve upon what we've seen? Is this someone who can maintain a consistency, who can consistently get something from these players? And again, I'm not letting the players off the hook because, again, my first point today was the players were shit. They were a disgrace. But is the FA Cup enough? Louis van Gaal won the FA Cup, sacked the very next day. Jose Mourinho, Carabao Cup, Europa League, his first season, it all fell apart after that. It was a different ownership then. There's nothing like denying that. But the questions do remain, Is his system the best for these players? Is it how Ineos want us to play? Does his system even work in this league? These are questions that need to be asked because, again, Ineos didn't hire Ten Hag. He had some comments right after the match. So immediately Ten Hag called out our mistakes. We were poor in possession, poor decision-making. We were stressed. Like, we all know that. He did call out again how Van de Ven was able to dribble from the back all the way up. Same thing we said against FC Twente. It's just one of those things, though, that we know it's true, and you can all see it's true, but it's one of those things that it's starting. You can't really say that as a manager in some ways, right? Because now it's starting to cross the line into throwing players under the bus territory, which is not a good look. You can say it behind closed doors. It's one of those things you don't really want to say on camera. And I do feel bad for Ten Hag to a degree when it comes to his camera stuff and his pressers and his interviews, because the guy's English is not good at all. Like, he had to have some questions repeated today because his English is just not great. It doesn't make him look great in pressers. A lot of his stuff gets taken out of context. A lot of his words get twisted because his English is not good. And that's not his fault. So I do feel bad for him a little bit. Then we did the official post-match interview in the actual press room, the media room, and he admitted that we started the game poor, conceding in the first few minutes, and again lamenting the fact that Van de Ven was able to carry that ball so far. Again, went on to describe how we're not making good decisions. Again, we have a system, we have seen it, but the problem, in my opinion, is all mental. zero resilience, zero focus, no cohesion in this team. I've failed to see a whole lot of matches where we look like we actually know each other's names, let alone we've actually played with each other. I was very frustrated with Tenhag's comments in this presser that talking about we need time. There have been injuries. We're in a process. Like, I don't want to hear it anymore. I just don't want to hear it anymore. I've said early on, the excuses are running thin. There are going to be very few, unless literally you wake up tomorrow and everyone in the squad is injured. I'm not going to have a whole lot of time for excuses this year. I just am not. Danny says Nagelsmann, can't think of anyone else. I do like Nagelsmann. It's not difficult to convince someone to make the switch from international football. I wouldn't mind Nagelsmann. He probably would have been my pick had we ended up sacking Ten Hag in the spring. But everybody's available. I mean, nobody's available is the problem. So you either have to go with a free agent, Thomas Tuchel maybe, who we talked to and decided against. So again, doesn't make us look good. Or you wait till the summer and you let Ruud take the reins. The problem is if we let Ruud take the reins, we have to avoid giving him the job full time unless he's literally the best man for it. Ruud would have to do miraculous things in order to get the job full time. So just when you thought it couldn't get worse than this 3-0 at home to Spurs, we travel to Porto this week, and then we get to play high-flying Aston Villa before the next international break. Who knows? And maybe instead of watching those matches, I might just slam my fucking hand in a car door, or maybe just stub my toe on the leg of a coffee table or something. It'll probably hurt less for sure. I'm trying to tell myself, guys, that it's only 6 points, and we're only 6 points off top four. I mean, 3 points and a few other club results going our way would put us in 9th. And then if that happens again, we're already in the top 6. So I'm trying to tell myself it's early. We're only 6 points off top 4 right now. A lot of things can change. That's how easily things can change this early in the season in the league. Just let me dream. But more importantly, let me know your thoughts. Would another manager get more from these players on a consistent basis? Would another manager have a system that suits the league better, suits the players better? Is it the players' fault? How much of it is on the players? Are you writing off the season already? Let me know what you think, because this shit is turning me fucking emo as hell right now. I'm going to go sit in the dark, watch a candle burn, listen to some Dashboard Confessional, and paint my nails black, because this is getting out of hand. Danny says, maybe McKenna seems doing good. Oh, you mean Ipswich? Yeah, a lot of people were all about McKenna because Ipswich were flying last year. They are struggling, though. And I said I wouldn't have a problem with McKenna in the future, but I would have caveats. I don't want McKenna now because he's very, very young. He hasn't had a whole lot of time managing. And yeah, back-to-back promotions with Ipswich is good. Nothing, don't get me wrong. And the way they play is a very united way, and maybe with better players. But he plays very similar to Ollie plays. And I'd want to see the first caveat for McKenna would be he has to keep Ipswich up. If he can keep Ipswich up, then he'll get a bit of interest. If he keeps them up and he stays at Ipswich, we'll see what happens. I think that no matter what happens with McKenna and with Ipswich, he'll probably leave this summer, and then he'll probably take over someone like, I don't know, Brentford or West Ham. I don't know, someone like that. And then I need to see how he does with someone like that. McKenna's very young. He's not even my age yet. And so there's time there. The guy's not even 40. We can see what McKenna does, but he does play an attractive style of football. He does play a very united style of football. So I wouldn't be against it, but he's not quite there yet, in my opinion. Danny says he carried Ollie out. McKenna and Carrick, it's hard, right? It's 50-50 because, yes, they were part of it, but at the same time, they were part of it. They were just as much a part of what went wrong as much as what went right as well. And so they don't get to get praise for when things go well and then escape criticism when things didn't go well, because they're all a part of it. The same as Ruud and Rene Haka and these guys as well. They're there. You know, the assistant coaches are the ones really doing most of the training and whatnot. So they have a lot more to say in the tactics in that regard and the repetitions and whatnot. But Danny says, yeah, be basically the same as Ollie. Yeah, he would be basically the same as Ollie. But again, if that's what we want, if we just want someone who's just going to play counterattack, wing play, attacking, then might as well just bring Ollie back. Ollie's seen at least he can get to a final and whatnot. But at the same time, we sacked Ollie. But that was another ownership. Who knows? But that, to me, you can't build long-term success. You can't, in my opinion, Ollie he plays exciting football, but it's not tactical football, and it will only get you so far. And so we saw that on several occasions. But we'll see what happens. That is going to do it for me. You guys get your thoughts in. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. We will be stopping by, not this coming weekend, so not a week now, but 2 weeks from now. We'll be doing a video on putting together an all-time United starting 11. I will be doing that with Dylan. So get your thoughts in on that. We're going to have you guys join us for that. Everybody's going to have a say. Everybody's going to have a vote. So we're going to put together an all-time starting 11. I've got a lot of options in there. So we're going to go from there. It'll be a fun little video. We need some sort of positivity, right? We're going to be right around the international break at that time. So what a good way to distract ourselves and get a little breathing room and recharge and to just go through and talk about some former and present players and just reminisce for a little bit about the good times. So until then, thank you guys for stopping by. Usman, I know Usman's tenhag out, man. I'm not tenhag out. I'm being realistic right now and saying I don't see how he survives this. But yes, 3 thoughts. Players are disgrace. Bruno is a problem. Tenhag looks like the writing is on the wall for him, unfortunately. So it is what it is. Danny, thank you. Steven, good to see you. Thanks for getting in your thoughts. I will see you guys on the match preview for the Porto match this week, barring any major announcements, but I'll be seeing you guys for that one when we get Ten Hag's presser. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. Try not to let it ruin your day. Put a bow around it. Let it ruin your 5 minutes from now, but don't let it ruin your next 5 hours. Don't let it ruin your next 5 days. Just be done. Put a boundary on it. So until then, thank you guys. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.